How's it going, gang? It's a final render here. And once again, I've got to give a big thank you to all the new people who are coming into the channel now that we've been doing some of these Fallout 76 viewers. The new amount of viewers coming in has been staggering, and it's really good to see how many new people are starting to get really excited about Fallout 76. Even though the game is still 4 months away at this time, it's still really good to see how many people are curious and are dissecting and making up theories about what the actual game could be. And this video is going to be no different when we are going to be discussing what I personally think the main story could be like. And if you are new, guys, please make sure you hit subscribe and hit the like button if you find any part of this video interesting. So let's go. So my first theory about what the main story of Fallout 76 will be is going to involve the Greenbrier Hotel. The Greenbrier Hotel is in the game, we have seen it in the trailers, and it is a real-life location, which is in West Virginia, and it is a luxurious hotel and resort. However, beneath the entire resort, there is an enormous nuclear bunker. This is a real-life location. It was built in the 1950s in tip-top secret, and the whole idea was that this was going to be the bunker for the US Congress. This is going to be where all the members of the US Congress would flee during the event of a nuclear apocalypse. They would get in their cars and zoom down the road from Washington, D.C., all the way to West Virginia, and then they would be forced into this bunker, decontaminated, and then live there for as long as they needed to, until it was safe to go outside, presumably. And as I said, this is the real place which you can actually go and visit nowadays. It was kept a secret for a very long time from the public. Even during the Cuban Missile Crisis, people were saying, where's the President and Congress going to go should the worst happen? And even then, they still kept it a secret. But of course, now we know about this location. But of course, why would I speculate that this would be a very significant place in Fallout 76? After all, there's nothing really in the trailer to say that we, the player, have to go there. Well, firstly, the whole idea behind the lore, the place, the real-life lore, and of course the lore of Fallout, it's too good an opportunity to not use. Here we have a real-life place that is very similar to a lot of the lore inside Fallout, and you can just mesh them together. It will work perfectly and seamlessly, and it will be really, really cool to go ahead and see what happens with it. But there is one kind of main theory which I have, which drives this idea that this is where you will want to go. And that is primarily that if we look at some of the revealed trailer footage that we have seen, we know that Fallout 76 starts 25 years after the Great War. 25 years. However, we know from reading terminals from other Fallout games that Vault 76 was meant to open 20 years after the Great War. So, for some reason, you, the main player, and presumably other people as well, have waited an extra 5 years. But the problem with that is, this vault, which is of course Vault 76, is probably only meant to last 20 years. It was always designed to open 20 years after the nuclear war. So it's probably very low on food, it's probably very low on power, it's probably very low on medical supplies, because you have waited for an extra 5 years. But do you know where we'll have some supplies? The Greenbrier Hotel. Maybe because Vault 76 is still very low on supplies, you, the player, must leave the vault. You now have no choice. You waited an extra 5 years, but now you have no choice. You have to leave and go to the Greenbrier Hotel, where there is food, where there is shelter. And that is my kind of main idea as to why you, the player, would want to go to the Greenbrier Hotel. And maybe, of course, because we know the main story takes you around the entire location of West Virginia, maybe you can't just go to the Greenbrier Hotel and open the door. It is obviously a nuclear bunker after all. I'd imagine they'd have some pretty intense security. Not only can we see that from the trailers with the robots going around, but also it would just make sense that you probably need lots of keys and stuff like that to get in. So maybe you need to go ahead and maybe find access codes or keys by going to all of the various locations around West Virginia. And here's another thing as well. Since the vault was meant to open 20 years after the bombs dropped, some people speculated that maybe some people did leave at 20 years. Maybe kind of a scouting party left at the 20-year mark, leaving you, the player, and lots of other people to kind of stay safe in the vault until the scouting party returns and says, yes, it's definitely safe, let's trigger Reclamation Day. But the problem is, they never returned. So you were sitting there for an extra 5 years waiting for the scouting party to return, but they never did. And maybe this scouting party knew about the Greenbrier, and they knew that you would, I don't know, have to find 6 keys in order to get in, and each member of the scouting party went to different locations in West Virginia, so you got to find all 6 keys, and then you can go ahead and enter the Greenbrier Hotel and then you can be safe from the monsters yet again. Remember, the people inside the vault, they don't necessarily want to be outside. A lot of them probably still remember times before the Great War, and they would probably rather live in the safety of the vaults than just go and live outside in the dangers. So I think that this is a very plausible idea as to why the Greenbrier Hotel may be the main location that everybody wants. Because remember, in every single Fallout game, every single one, there has always been one key location that everybody wants. In Fallout 3, for example, everybody wanted to control the Jefferson Memorial because that's where Project Purity was. In Fallout 4, everybody wanted to control or destroy the Institute. In New Vegas, everybody wanted to control the Strip and control Hoover Dam. I think it's the same for this. I think a lot of people are going to want to control the Greenbrier Hotel. But here's another thing which might also lead some kind of evidence to this. Maybe, since this is going to be what would be the Congress bunker of the United States, maybe in order to get access to the nuclear weapons, which we know are in the game, maybe the players have to first go to the Greenbrier Hotel to, I don't know, turn the silos back on. Because obviously that's where a lot of the American politicians would be. If you were going to have controls for the nukes, you would probably have them in the Greenbrier Hotel. So that's just the main theory about the Greenbrier Hotel and why I think that will be the kind of main catalyst for the story. But we're not done yet. There are other theories I have as well. The second theory I have is a little less plausible than the first theory, but it is an idea which I think could have some credence, even if it's more like a side quest rather than the main story. But I think it will involve the People's Republic of China, which is obviously America's main antagonist in the Fallout lore. And the reason I think that the Chinese army is going to be prevalent inside West Virginia is because of the one location fairly central to the map, and that is the Mama Dulce's food processing lab. This is of course a place which is actually a front for the Chinese army. We know this from reading some of the lore in some of the other Fallout games and even visiting other Mama Dulce's food processing labs in other games. That this place was meant to be a secret operation where the Chinese spies were. This is where the Chinese would go ahead and spy on everything that was going on in America before the actual Great War. And there were rumors also that there were even small special forces units in place waiting so that when the Great War happened, these guys could also start maybe sabotaging some of the anti-nuclear missile systems that America has, etc. And something we know by looking at the trailer is just a very short shot. We can see some of the robots called Liberators. And these Liberators are just tiny little robots. They don't look too intimidating. They look kind of annoying to fight, if I'm completely honest. But these guys actually bear the same symbol of the People's Republic of China. You can even see the exact same star symbol in some of the DLCs, such as Operation Anchorage, for example. So we can suspect that not only are they called the Liberators, and of course the actual division is called the People's Liberation Army. That is the name of the Chinese military in Fallout. You know, put two and two together, Liberator robot, People's Liberation Army. This robot probably came from the Mama Dulce's food processing lab. And maybe, of course, just maybe, since it's an actual kind of factory, maybe they've got other machines that are kind of set to automatically start to produce bigger and badder enemies. Maybe they've got secret machines in there that were disguised as food processing machines, but actually can build things like sentry bots, simps, actual intelligent robotic enemies. We honestly don't know. As I said, it's just a theory. I personally suspect it's just going to be not so much a little gimmicky idea, but it's just going to be a cool way to go ahead and integrate some of the Fallout lore into West Virginia and also include some of these cool little robotic enemies. But who knows? Maybe there is going to be a larger factor at play. Maybe this place will actually have a lot of trouble for the players inside and will slowly spread to the rest of West Virginia. Who knows? And the third theory I have actually has a lot more credibility than the first and second theory. The first and second theories were literally, as I said, theories and speculation that myself and other Fallout 76 theorists have slowly been kind of piecing together over time. But the third idea, which I'm going to talk about now, actually does have a lot more credibility. This idea is that we need to use the nuclear missile system to destroy the monsters in West Virginia. The Snallygasses, the Scorch Beasts, the Mothmen, the Beasts of Graftons. They all need to be destroyed using the nuclear missile system. And we know this is part of the game because during the Noclip documentary that we saw the developers describing how the monsters will come out of the ground from fissures in the ground, so like cave networks and cracks in the ground. And they've been down there all this time, mutating, breeding, and turning into these giant monsters. And then every now and then, some of them leave the caves and then start to threaten the life in West Virginia. But there is a way to stop them. Use one of the nuclear missiles on the crack in the ground where they are spawning from. And here's the idea which I think will make it into the main story. What if it's arranged kind of like a community goal? What if Bethesda says, once you the players as a community, not individually, as a community, once you all destroy 1 million nuclear fissures in the ground by using the missiles, we give you the new expansion pack. What if that's how they did it? What if they said, in order to get the new part of a story, the next expansion pack, you need to destroy 1 million of these? And who knows how long that'll take? It might be very quick, it might be a few months, might be a few weeks, who knows? But you get the next part of the story once you've done that as a community. And if you actually contribute a large amount, you get a higher reward than someone who contributes a smaller amount. And even if you don't contribute at all, say if you don't want to, the story still progresses for you because the new expansion pack is released. This is something that the game Elite Dangerous does, and it does it very, very well. Elite Dangerous is actually very similar to Fallout 76 in the sense that it has some kind of online MMO elements, but it only just technically scratches the surface of an online game. It's like if it was an online game, it would get like a D-, you know, all the functionality is there, but technically it is mostly a single player game with some online elements. And I think something they did really well in Elite Dangerous was the community goal. Typically it would be like, there's a new spaceport that we're planning to build in this sector of space which could have some rare resources being sold there if you build it. Bring us however much amount of building materials and then you the players can have this new spaceport. And then once the players have done it, the new spaceport appears in the game. And maybe that's how Bethesda is going to do it with Fallout 76 with these nuclear missiles in order to stop the monsters. Once you've destroyed an X amount of little nuclear fissures in the ground, you get the new expansion pack. Even games like Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain had secret endings and cutscenes when the community came together to say get rid of all the nuclear weapons in the game. And then once there weren't any nuclear weapons left in the entire game, there would be like a cool secret cutscene that the community can unlock. I think it would be exceptionally cool if Fallout 76 worked with this kind of community idea. And you could even integrate it into the Greenbrier as well. What if once 1,000 players have stepped foot in the Greenbrier, then the new expansion pack comes out? There are lots of ways you could go ahead and do this, and I think it would be a really good way to not only give it an ever-changing story mode that can react to what the players do, but also it would give people a goal overall as a community, not just as an individual. You can explore and build camps and shoot things as much as you want, but if you want to help push the story forward, you can go ahead and do that and be a small part of the world. Not the hero, but a small part of the world. And that is very Fallout. The idea is that you are a small part of the world, but helps towards big change. So I think this really could work indeed. So guys, those were my 3 main theories on what I think the Fallout 76 main story is going to be. The overarching story of the entire game. And we don't really know if any of these are true. All of these ideas could be wrong, and it's just theory and speculation at this point. But who knows, maybe some of these ideas are correct and they'll make it into the actual game. If you think I'm wrong, or you have a different idea about what the main story will be, let me know in the comments section. If you have ideas about what the main story is going to be, let me know. Let other Fallout 76 theorists know as well, so they can make videos on your ideas if there is some truth to them. And we can all kind of discuss what we think the main story is going to be. We won't really know what the main story is until the beta comes out, presumably in a few months' time. But when that actually comes out, it'll be very interesting to see what theories are true, what is wrong, and maybe some of them are all kind of mingled together, who knows. But anyways, thank you very much for watching guys, this has been the final render, and you've been the audience. Remember to check out all the cool Patreon people in the description below who help support the channel with their financial donations. You lot yourself can do the same. It helps pay for the internet connection, it helps pay for the editing software, etc. And I will see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe to the video if you are new, and I'll see you around. This has been the final render, and you've been the audience. Until next time, farewell.